I feel like I discovered a secret with these Archie comics. They make the Archie comic, and then they make a few offshoots, Vixens and Riverdale, and a couple of others. They are all extremely racist. I mean, literally, they are the most racist things I've ever read in comics. They are shockingly racist. I invite you to read any of the newer Archie comics. It will set you back on your heels with how evil these people are. Written by Mikkel Ostow. The artist, the colors don't matter, and the letters don't matter because they're not calling the shots. John Goldwater is calling the shots. Roberto Guerre Sacasa is a shot caller, and Victor Gorlick. So those people are the most they're disgusting, horrible people. I invite you to take a look at their social media, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It is an insanely racist comic. It's written by racist, sexist Marxists. If you think I'm exaggerating, take a look at my earlier videos on the subject. They hate men, and they really hate Europeans. If a character is shown in a negative light, it will be European, and usually male. The thing is, they warp reality to make European people look bad. The first story in issue 2 deals with and that's another funny thing. Oh, here, take a look at these. They so want you to know that they're white people. They're redhead and blonde. They're just as German or English or whatever, Western European as they could make them. They don't want for a minute for you to confuse them with maybe Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, Greek. They want you to know that these are the bad people. It's overwhelmingly cheesy. And the other thing is that this is issue 2. Issue 1, I noticed sometimes they'll do this in SJW comics. The first issue will be light on the racism because they want you to buy it, and they want to kind of suck you in. But then after that, it's open season. The first story in issue 2 deals with a religious cult that has taken over the town. I think they screwed up a bit here, because when people think about a dangerous religion, they think about Islam. But of course, they use blonde-haired and red-haired people, so you know they're European, not even Southern European. Racist social justice warrior comics do this all the time. The bad characters have way more blonde and red hair than is statistically possible. The writers and artists at Archie really want you to associate white skin with evil, but only Europeans, light-skinned Asians, Arabs, Jews, Latinos are all let off the hook for some reason. It's only Europeans, and mostly Western Europeans. The Germans and English get the most racism. Anyway, the story deals with a Islamic cult, or an Islamic cult analog, and teen pregnancy. Of course, the teen couple is a blonde girl and a redheaded boy. You know how statistically unlikely that is. Are European Americans the most likely to get pregnant as teens? No, of course not. They are a distant third place behind Afro-American and Latino kids. But they don't let facts get in the way of propaganda. Yes, of course, they join a cult because it's 1968 again. The second story bashes America and Americans in the first few sentences. Let's see what it has to say. The myth of the American frontier. Why is it a myth? It was an American frontier. There was a frontier in America. Expansionism, domination, exceptionalism, manifest destiny. It's so aggressive, so wordy, so dreadfully masculine. Okay. You know where they're going with that. 2 statistically improbable lesbians. The author, Ostow, mentions expansionism and the American West. Here's the thing about that concept. Almost all humans have expanded their range. American Indians would constantly fight each other and steal territory. They would kidnap girls, cut their Achilles tendons so they couldn't run away, and use them as sex slaves. The American Indians used violence, torture, and sexual slavery. Those are their rules of acceptable behavior. The Americans simply beat them at their own game. African Americans will talk about the evils of colonialism. They seem to forget that African tribes were constantly doing the same thing to other Africans. Africans don't have the moral high ground, because no humans have the moral high ground, because humans are violent, and that's a good thing. Violence and competition has advanced humanity in every way. Everything from advances in surgery to rocket science is due to the human desire to conquer. There is no permanent class of oppressed and oppressor. The Irish, Jews, and Africans have historically been oppressed. Does that mean they can't turn around and oppress the English, Palestinians, or Europeans? Of course they can. The Russians have been slaves to communism from about 1914 to 1993. Yes, I use the word slavery correctly. If you aren't free to leave the country, can't pick your job, can't decide your fate, can't practice your religion, if you are at risk of being thrown in the gulag and tortured to death, that makes you a slave. My point is, the shield of being oppressed and marginalized in your ancestors' past doesn't excuse you from oppressing people today. Eastern Europeans were slaves to communism. Southern Europeans were slaves to Islam. Both the communists and Muslims believe in conquest through violence. Note the douchebag white hipster. At least they recognize that hipsters are douchebags. The story follows a lesbian couple as they ride around California without helmets. They forget that when a nanny state provides free health care to tens of millions of Mexican citizens, they have to enforce helmet laws because the state is bankrupt. Anyway, the statistically improbable motorcycle-riding lesbians meet up with other lipstick lesbians and go to a club where they proceed to pickpocket evil white men. But you can't have your characters just be thieves, because thieves are scumbags. So what the NPC writer does is show the white guys as being bragging, butt-slapping douchebags, so it's morally acceptable for the girls to rob them. Do white guys slap waitresses' butts in clubs? No, because the bouncer will kick them out. Here's what makes the scene even worse. The group of girls is mixed ethnically, but the social justice warrior writer can't show the brown girl robbing someone because they would get Twitter mobbed and be called racist. So the writer has the red-headed European girl rob the European guy who is a jerk. Every character that is evil in some way is Western European. Once you notice these coincidences, you will never unnotice them. Then you take a look at the writers' and editors' social media, you'll notice a few commonalities they share. Namely, that they are far left racist Marxists. Here's your flowchart. Read a social justice warrior comic. Find the anti-European racism. Check the creator's social media. Find anti-European, anti-Christian, anti-male tweets. The writers have to make the white guys the bad guys. But to do it, they have to show the white guys doing things that you know white guys just don't do. They show them catcalling or robbing liquor stores or in motorcycle gangs. If you live in America, you know how ridiculous this is. It's like playing Spot the Unicorn. Did you see a unicorn? No, I saw a German guy rob a liquor store. And oh yeah, he's also in a gang with a bunch of other blonde-haired, blue-eyed white devils. You have to look at the writers, the editors, the publishers to really understand what's going on. They are all far-left racist sociopaths. I don't use that word lightly. They are the same communist idiots who would gladly murder 100 million people under communism. Anyway, I think it's important for more people to call out these sexist racists. Remember, key nodes in infrastructure, pivot points. These Marxists want their propaganda in the hands of your children. They will keep pushing the anti-European agenda unless we step in and call them out on it. She looks like your mom. She looks like my mom. She looks like everyone's mom. Just a sweet-looking, normal-looking person. She's extremely racist and sexist. Don't you fear defamation, calling someone a racist? No, because what's the defense to defamation? The truth is the defense to defamation. So, I welcome a lawsuit. Yes, she's extremely racist. Read her, you can simply read that one issue and find out how racist she is. At least she's shilling her book. That's something too many other comic book artists don't do. I think there's a thing in here where she's retweeting some abortionists, something. They favor abortion. Here it is. Timely reading, anyone? Reading day, anyone? 7 great young adult books about reproductive choice. So, like abstinence or something? What do you think they mean by reproductive choice? Aftercare instructions. Aftercare for what? Are you talking about killing kids? Is that what you're... I think that is the reproductive choice. Anyway, Barnes & Noble's company leadership supports pushing abhorrent material to children, offensive indoctrination, propaganda. Yes, of course it's propaganda. These are mentally ill, sick, twisted people. These are the same people who starved 50 million Russians to death, and they starved 50 million or 100 million Chinese to death. These are these same sick people. Anyway, let's take it something. Let's wash this foul taste out of our mouths. IndieCron, the Comicsgate hub. They have a lot of Comicsgate books up here, but it's kind of getting political now because they don't have all the books up here, which is kind of a shame. Because, I mean, I think if you say if you're Comicsgate, you should be Comicsgate, but I don't know. It's kind of tricky. They do have a lot of books up here, so it's if you're meeting 80% of the needs, that's better than nothing, and it is handy. What do we have? Blood Hunt, Super Harem, Wicked. I checked these books a couple days ago, and they were like a few $1,000s less. So somebody has been pushing the hell out of these things. Wow. Even Epitaph, Bread and Salt, Beginning of the End is up to $4,000. No, $400. Still, it's doing a lot better. I hope that one gets funded. The Tale of Vinny, Vestige, Lone Star, Hero, Blood of Patriots, Jungle Comics. That looks good. Berserkernaut, Brand looks fantastic. Detective Dead, already looked at that. Black and White by Art. I don't think I looked at that yet. What's his last name? Art Thilbert? Art something. Art. They call him RT Bear. He's a Kiss fan. He has a show on YouTube. He talks about Kiss a lot. Let's see what we have here. $64,000. I bet when he started this campaign, he had no idea. He probably did not suspect he would get to over $60,000. Anyway, the art looks good. It's interesting to see a woman drawn like that in current year comics. Okay, it looks pretty standard. I don't know why they don't include dialogue, but he has a. You see a comic like this, he has a reputation and a name, so it's going to meet like a minimum standard at least. Let's see what else we have on IndieCron. Now, I realize most people are not going to get to minute 13 of this video, so I'm probably speaking into the cold, black, empty vacuum of outer space, and no one's going to actually hear this. But One Pull, Journey of the One, issues 1 and 2, there's some controversy with this guy, and it was either this book or one of his other books where he said it would it was up on Indiegogo. And when you put a book up on Indiegogo, people think, oh, it's going to be up there for a limited time. So you're buying something. If you're buying it for more than just enjoyment, you're buying it as a possible collector's item. Well, then you want to know that if they sold 5,000 books or whatever, that they're not going to keep selling books because it makes your investment in the book less valuable. And so there's some issue about. I don't know if it was this book or one of his other books where he kept it up for longer. So there's some people who are a little miffed about that. But there's another issue. I believe it was him when he first started out. he said he was not Comicsgate, and he seemed to have some kind of beef with them. But then he came around, and he's selling the book on Indiegogo. But I guess I probably shouldn't even bring that up, because if someone comes around to being Comicsgate, then that's good enough for me. I think it should be good enough for everyone. But anyway, those are relatively minor issues, and I guess I'm glad that I don't think anyone's this far in the video before clicking off. But I'll say the comic looks good, man. You got something here. The art looks good. What's up, mi gente? Juan Pool here. Now you have the chance to own the first 2 parts of the Journey of the Juan. It's a 3-part origin story, all about how I find out what has happened to my favorite superheroes were replaced by an imposter. Superhero started as a meme and became a top 10 digital Comic Central Comic of the Year nominee. Comes to Indiegogo for a print run. Let's get back in there, dude. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so he has a little bit of sense of humor. Ever wish your favorite superheroes were real? Imagine that. It sounds like The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 90s. Ever imagine a world where they existed? Juan, the average online blogger, calls that wish a reality. Juan's world is inhabited by masked heroes and villains. As the internet's premier hero watcher, we find our hero addressing his subject. My friend used to call those people, comics like this, F word I can't say. I'll say bundles of sticks in spandex for these kind of comics. Hey, what's up? One-on-one here with another live stream. Got a lot of cover on the show tonight. Major City still suffering from straight arrows, sudden poor attendance. Talk to Captain Supremacy retiring and floating around. And also a terrible zombie outbreak is plaguing California. I know zombies, but who knows? Maybe a new hero will rise. I like zombie stories a lot. I have a pretty decent collection of zombie literature. I'll say I like the books more than the stories. And I do have the comic, the 2 volumes of The Walking Dead. They're in black and white, though, which is kind of a bummer. But they use I should crack one of those books open and take a look at them. They use a real simple art style. And they were like $60 new. I got them used. And they're black and white. It's kind of they tell a lot. The guy tells a good story with black and white. But I wonder how much color would be. It would probably be so expensive. Anyway, hey, Juanpo looks pretty good. Journey of the Juan. I wish him all the well. Troy Torres. Okay, let's take a look at that one last one. Joe King versus the world's greatest average hero. I don't know if this is the Poon guy. The guy who has one of the characters. He was on a Cecil stream, and there was like nonstop Poon. For Poon jokes and Poon humor, Poon puns, I should say, for maybe 2 hours. Why do people not include the dialogue? Is the lettering a different? Is it more of a kind of a pain in the neck a process to include the lettering? Okay, the art looks good for what it is, pretty standard. But I need to see something of the humor. This is not. Okay, last one. Shinobi Sasquatch Book 1. Okay, this looks like a step up from your average amateur comic book artist. I don't know if these are. Well, you know what? I shouldn't speak so. Sometimes people don't. The covers aren't done by the interior artists. I forgot about that. But hey, I don't know who did this cover, but it looks pretty impressive. Okay, the interior also looks pretty impressive. So maybe the interior artist did do the exterior or the cover shot. That's me, trebucheting through the night. These forests are my home. I can barely read this with these glasses. These denizens, my family. I am Shinobi Sasquatch. That's right, a Bigfoot ninja. And if that wasn't enough, dude, you got me already. Oh, I did take a look at this. I'm sorry, but it does look pretty damn funny. I'm also a werewolf. The curse comes with plenty of benefits. I am a Sasquatch who changes. So what is that? Lycanthropy? But what is a Sasquatch? Lycanthropy and I don't know. Yeti. But there's one thing I've never been crazy about. Once a month during the full moon, I have to eat a guy. It looks like you're going to eat a chick here. And not in a good way. So blood moon in the background with the redwoods. Hey, if it's funny, the art is fantastic, man. I wish you well on this. Anyway, I could probably go through these all night. It's good to see so many independent comic book creators. When people talk about, do you support Comicsgate? Are you part of Comicsgate? I mean, the whole thing sounds, silly for adults to talk about. They're part of a club. But when I started thinking about, maybe it's not so silly. I mean, these are the kind of the outcasts of the industry people who, because they're moderated, because they're slightly right of center, they're not allowed into the mainstream industry. I mean, it's just like the worst of McCarthyism, except it's the communists who are keeping people out. It's disgusting. I don't care if you're on the right or on the left. If you want to sell a book, welcome. If I have any way to help you, let's just get the books on the shelves. Give people what they enjoy. What do they call it? Capitalism, not socialism. I don't know who drew this, but they nailed it. I really like this image. Anyway, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave a like and a comment. And for those of you who stuck it out for 20 minutes, thank you.